Good morning, students. So we were discussing about electromagnetic induction. Okay, electromagnetic induction is like a coil is here and the magnet is moved in and out of that coil. So some current will be produced in that coil. Okay, and such a current we call it as induced current, and this phenomenon is called as electromagnetic induction. Okay, so when the magnet is moved in, suppose the north pole is moved, yesterday we have discussed this activity, the north pole is moved inside the coil. The galvanometer which is connected across the ends of the coil, that shows a deflection. And when does the galvanometer show a deflection? Whenever there is some current flowing in the circuit. Okay, galvanometer is a device which is used to detect electric current in a circuit. So if the galvanometer shows a deflection, it means there is some current flowing in the circuit. So there is some current flowing in the coil. So when the north pole is moved inside the coil, the galvanometer shows a deflection, suppose towards the right. And when the north pole is moved out, the galvanometer will show the deflection in the reverse direction, that is towards left. So whenever the magnet is moved in or out of the coil, some current will be produced in the coil, and such a current we call it as induced current. Okay, because this current is induced in the circuit, this current is induced in the coil. So we call it as the induced current, and this phenomenon we call it as electromagnetic induction. Okay, and galvanometer is what? It is a device which is used to detect electric current. Okay, now there is one more method to induce a current in the coil. Okay, by changing the magnetic field, also the current can be produced in the coil. Okay, so by changing the magnetic field we are producing the current. Okay, now let's first read the activity, the next activity. Okay, activity number 13.8 we have discussed, in which the magnet is moved in or out of the coil. So the current is produced in the coil, and such a current we call it as the induced current, and this phenomenon we call it as electromagnetic induction. Okay, on page number 234, below this activity, in a red box it is given that, orange box it is, a galvanometer is an instrument that can detect the presence of current in a circuit. So galvanometer is a device which detects the electric current in a circuit. The pointer remains zero, that is at the center of the scale, for zero current flowing through it. It can deflect either to the left or to the right of the zero mark depending upon the direction of the current. So the zero of the galvanometer is at the center. If it is showing the deflection towards left or towards right, it means some electric current is flowing in the circuit. So galvanometer detects the electric current in a circuit. Okay, you can also check if you had moved the south pole of the magnet towards the end of the coil, the deflections in the galvanometer would be just opposite to the previous one. When the coil and the magnet of both are stationary, there is no deflection in the galvanometer. It is thus clear from this activity that the motion of a magnet with respect to the coil produces an induced potential difference, which sets up an induced electric current in the circuit. Okay, so again the same activity I am drawing it over here. So on a cylindrical rope AB, a coil is wounded. Okay, and the ends of the coil are connected to galvanometer. Okay, when the north pole of the magnet is moved inwards, that is inside the cylindrical rope, so the magnetic field with respect to it changes, and hence the galvanometer shows a deflection. North pole moved away, the galvanometer will show a deflection in the reverse direction. Now if the south pole is moved inside the coil, now the galvanometer will show the deflection, again it will show the deflection, but reverse to this case. Suppose when the north pole is moved, the galvanometer is showing the deflection towards right. Now if the south pole is moved inwards, the galvanometer will show a deflection towards left. Okay, so the magnet moving in or out of the coil induces a current in this coil. Okay. Now, suppose you keep the magnet stationary and move the coil towards or away from the magnet. Okay. Now, let this magnet is stationary. The coil is moved towards the magnet or away from the magnet. Again, the galvanometer will show the deflection. That is, again the induced current will be produced. Why? Because some potential difference is induced in the circuit. Okay, and whenever there is a potential difference across the ends of the coil, so a current will be produced, and such a current we call it as the induced current. So, if either the magnet is moved in or out, or the coil is moved towards or away from the magnet, then also the galvanometer will show the deflection. That is, the induced current will be produced in this coil. Okay, but if both are stationary, that is, the coil is also not moving and the magnet is also stationary, then no current will be produced in the galvanometer. That is, the pointer of the galvanometer will rest at zero, that is at the center. So it means no current is produced. So there should be the motion of the coil with respect to the magnet, or the magnet with respect to the coil, then only the current will be produced. And this phenomenon of inducing current, we call it as electromagnetic induction. Okay, so electromagnetic induction means whenever the magnet is moved in or out of the coil, or you may say whenever there is a relative motion. Relative motion means either this is moving or this is moving. Whenever there is a relative motion between the magnet and the coil, then a current will be induced in the circuit, because there is some potential difference induced across the ends of the coil, due to which the current will be produced, and such a current we call it as the induced current, and this phenomenon is called as electromagnetic induction. So this was the first method to produce induced current in a coil. Now there is one more method to produce induced current, okay, which is given in the book, okay, with the help of an activity. Now let's read that activity. Okay, on page number 235, let us now perform a variation of activity 13.8, in which the moving magnet is replaced by a current carrying coil, and the current in the coil can be varied. Okay, this is activity 13.9. Take two different coils of copper wire having large number of turns, say 50 and 100 turns respectively. Insert them over a non-conducting cylindrical rod as shown in figure 13.7. You may use a thick paper roll for this purpose. Connect the coil 1 having a large number of turns in series with a battery and a plug key. Also connect the other coil 2 with a galvanometer as shown. Plug in the key, observe the galvanometer. Is there a deflection in the needle? You will observe that the needle of the galvanometer instantly jumps to one side and just as quickly returns to zero, indicating a momentary current in the coil 2. Disconnect the coil 1 from the battery. You will observe that the needle momentarily moves but in the opposite side. It means that now the current flows in the opposite direction in the coil 2. Okay, so there is one more method to produce induced current in a coil. So for this, two coils are taken. Okay, two wires mounted on a non-conducting cylindrical rod. Okay, so there is a non-conducting cylindrical rod over which two wires are wounded. The first coil is having a large number of turns. Suppose there are 100 turns in the first coil. Okay, and this coil is connected. Okay, this is the coil 1, and this is also called as the primary coil. Okay, we can also call it as the primary coil. The other one is called as the coil 2 will be called as the secondary coil. We'll come to it later on. Okay, first this coil 1 is connected to a battery and a key. Okay, so when the key is inserted, the current will flow in this coil 1. Okay, another coil 2 which is having less number of turns as compared to coil 1. If the first one is having 100 turns wounded on this cylindrical rod, let the coil 2 is having only 50 turns. Okay, and this coil 2 is connected to the galvanometer, to the ends of to the terminals of a galvanometer. Okay, so this is the simple circuit on a non-conducting cylindrical rod. two coils are wounded. Coil 1 having a large number of turns, suppose there are 100 number of turns, and this coil is connected to a battery and a key. On the same row, another coil is wounded, which is having less number of turns as compared to coil 1. Like it is having only 50 turns, which is connected to the ends of a galvanometer, to the terminals of a galvanometer. Okay, now when the key is inserted, the current through this coil 1 flows, and we know that across a current carrying coil there is some magnetic field. So as you insert the key, the current in this coil increases. As the current increases, the magnetic field inside the coil increases. So the magnetic field along the axis is also increasing. So here the magnetic field increases. Hence the galvanometer needle will show a momentary deflection. Momentarily the galvanometer will show a deflection. When galvanometer shows a deflection, it means the current is produced in this coil. That is, the current is induced in the coil 2. So by changing the magnetic field in coil 1, in coil 2, induced current is produced. The same way, when the key is taken out, the current in coil 1 reduces to 0. So the magnetic field across this coil is also reducing. Magnetic field is changing, so the galvanometer shows a deflection. Okay, now here the coil 1 can also be called as the primary coil. Coil 2 is also called as the secondary coil. Okay, either we can call it as coil 1, coil 2, or we can call it as primary coil, secondary coil. So, when the magnetic field across the primary coil is changing, how it is changing? By changing the current. And how the current is changing? By inserting or by taking out the key. The galvanometer in the second coil momentarily shows a deflection, that is, the induced current is produced for a short moment. Okay, so the induced current is produced in coil 2. Okay, so the second method to produce current in a coil, to induce current in a coil, why? Because some potential difference will be induced across the ends of the coil 2, so that is why the induced current is produced in it. Okay, so by changing the magnetic field also, the induced current can be produced. Okay, so this is the second method for inducing the current, for producing the current in a coil. Okay, now the explanation given over here in the book. In this activity, we observe that as soon as the current in the coil 1 reaches either a steady value or 0, the galvanometer in the coil 2 shows no deflection. Okay, so when the key is kept inserted, as soon as you insert it, only at that moment the galvanometer will show a deflection. So the galvanometer shows a momentary deflection. Okay, as the key is inserted or as the key is taken out. Key kept on pressed. Okay, key kept on inserted. The current in the coil becomes steady. As soon as you insert the key, the current in the coil 1 increases. Or as soon as you take out the key, the current in the coil 1 becomes 0. So the magnetic field is changing. Okay, but if the key is inserted, now the current becomes steady in the coil 1. So the magnetic field lines of this coil also becomes stationary, becomes steady. Okay, then no current will be produced in this second coil. The galvanometer will not show deflection. So when the current is either 0 in coil 1, or you may say the current is steady, the current is constant, then no deflection in the galvanometer. Only when the key is inserted or when the key is taken out. Only in that case, the galvanometer shows a momentary deflection. From these observations, we conclude that a potential difference is induced in the coil 2 whenever the electric current to the coil 1 is changing. Okay, so whenever the electric current in the coil 1 is changing, and when can the electric current be changed? As soon as you insert the key, the current in the coil 1 increases. As you take out the key, the current in the coil 1 decreases. Okay, so when the current in the coil 1 is changing, then only the induced current is produced in the second coil. Coil 1 is also called as the primary coil and coil 2 is called as the secondary coil. As the current in the first coil changes, the magnetic field associated with it also changes. Okay, as the current is changing, the magnetic field is also changing. So the magnetic field with respect to coil 2 is also changing. Hence, the change in magnetic field lines associated with the secondary coil is the cause of the induced electric current. This process by which the changing magnetic field in a conductor induces a current in another conductor is called as the electromagnetic induction. In practice, we can induce current in a coil either by moving it in the magnetic field or by changing the magnetic field around it. It is convenient in most situations to move the coil in the magnetic field. Okay, so practically which one is uh, more easy? The first activity. Okay, the coil is moved near the magnet. Okay, but this activity also induces the current. So in this activity, what is changed? The current in the coil 1 is changed. As the current changes, the magnetic field lines also changes. So the magnetic field lines across this, the magnetic field lines are along the axis, okay, of this coil 1. Okay, we have already studied that a current carrying coil acts like a bar magnet. The magnetic field lines are similar to it. Okay, suppose looking from this face, the current is in the clockwise direction. This end will become the south pole, this end will become the north pole. Okay, now as you insert the key, the current changes, the magnetic field line changes, and the magnetic field lines are along the axis of coil 1, that is across the coil 2 also the magnetic field lines changes, and hence the current is produced. Okay, so two methods here we have studied for inducing the current in the coil. The first method is moving the magnet to in or out of the coil, okay, or moving the coil with respect to the magnet. Okay, that is, there is some relative motion between the magnet and the coil. Okay, the first method, activity 13.8. The second method is by changing the magnetic field lines, that is by changing the current in one of the coil. The current will be produced, the induced current will be produced in the second coil, in the secondary coil. So by changing the magnetic field lines, by changing the current. Okay, how the magnetic field lines could be changed? By changing the current. The induced current can be produced in the second coil. Okay, and this we call it as electromagnetic induction. So whenever the magnetic field lines across a coil are changing, then the current is produced in the coil. This current we call it as the induced current, and this phenomenon is also called as the electromagnetic induction. Okay, so two methods here we have studied. Okay, next, how to find out the direction of this induced current. Okay, so there is some magnetic field and there is some motion of the coil. Okay, or motion of the magnet. Now, what do you have to find out? The direction of the induced current. So again, there is a rule which gives the direction of the induced current, and that rule is Fleming's right hand rule. Okay, so now by using the right hand, we'll find out the direction of the induced current. Okay, the figure is made in the book. Let's read it and then I'll explain. The last paragraph, page number 235. The induced current is found to be highest when the direction of the motion of the coil is at right angles to the magnetic field. In such a situation, we can use a simple rule to know the direction of the induced current. Stretch the thumb, forefinger and the middle finger of the right hand so that they are perpendicular to each other as shown in figure 13.18. If the forefinger points along the direction of the magnetic field and the thumb along the direction of the motion of the conductor, then the middle finger will show the direction of the induced current. This simple rule is called as the Fleming's right hand rule. Okay, so using the right hand, we can find out the direction of the induced current. Again, these three fingers stretched mutually perpendicular to each other. Okay, the thumb, the forefinger or the first finger the middle finger or the center finger. These three are stretched mutually perpendicular to each other. All three are. Okay, which hand? Right hand. Fleming's right hand rule here we are studying, which gives the direction of the induced current. Now, if the first finger is pointing along the direction of the magnetic field, okay, this is the first finger pointing along the direction of the magnetic field, and the and the thumb pointing along the direction of the motion of the conductor. This is the direction of the motion of the conductor. Then the current produced in the conductor will be given by the center finger. Okay, the induced current which is produced will be given by the center finger. So we stretch the first three fingers of the right hand mutually perpendicular to each other such that the first finger of the forefinger is pointing along the magnetic field. This is along the motion of the conductor. Then the center finger will give the direction of the induced current. Okay, so this is the Fleming's right hand rule which gives the direction of the induced current. Okay, yesterday or the previous terms we have studied about Fleming's left hand rule, in which these two are given and this is determined. This is magnetic field, this is current. Okay, a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field experiences a force which is given along the direction of the thumb. Now here the direction of the induced current is determined. This is the magnetic field, the force on the conductor. Then this will be the direction of the current. Okay, so here the induced current will be produced when a conductor is moved in a magnetic field, and the direction of the induced current will be given by the center field. Okay, so this is Fleming's right hand rule. Okay, there is one question. Explain the different ways to induce current in a coil. Okay, so write few questions based on electromagnetic induction. Write down question number 1. What is electromagnetic induction? What is electromagnetic induction? Okay, how will you define electromagnetic induction? Whenever there is a change in the magnetic field with respect to a coil, or there is some motion of the magnet with respect to the coil. A current, a potential difference is induced, due to which a current is induced in the coil, and this current we call it as the induced current, and this phenomenon is called as the electromagnetic induction. Okay, so there are two methods. The first method is whenever a magnet is moved towards the coil, or you may say there is a relative motion between the magnet and the coil. So whenever there is a motion of the magnet with respect to a coil, or the magnetic field lines with respect to a coil are changing, a potential difference will be induced in the coil, due to which a current will be produced, which is called as the induced current, and this phenomenon is called as electromagnetic induction. That is, whenever the current is produced due to the change in the magnetic field lines, we call it as electromagnetic induction. Okay, write the next question. Give an activity to show that current is induced in a coil. Current is induced in a coil when a magnet is moved towards or away from the coil. When a magnet is moved towards or away from the coil. Okay, so which activity you will show? Activity 13.8. Okay, and activities always figures should be drawn. Okay, activities should be along with the figure. So figure also you have to draw it. Write one more question. Give an activity to show that current is produced Current is produced in the secondary coil. Current is produced in the secondary coil when the magnetic field lines when the magnetic field lines around it changes, when the magnetic field lines near it or around it changes. So which activity you will give? This activity, which is 13.9. Write the next question. State Fleming's right hand rule. State Fleming's right hand rule. State Fleming's right hand rule. Okay, so Fleming's right hand rule gives the direction of the induced current. Okay, and what it is? If we stretch the thumb, the forefinger and the middle finger of right hand mutually perpendicular to each other such that the forefinger is pointing along magnetic field, the thumb is pointing along the motion of the conductor, then the center finger will give the direction of the induced current. Okay, so this is the Fleming's right hand rule. Okay, which is giving the direction of the induced current. So here we have, in this chapter, we have studied 3 rules. The first is to find the direction of the magnetic field. How? If the thumb is pointing along the direction of the current, this curled fingers, the tips of the curled fingers, the tips of the wrapped fingers are giving the direction of the magnetic field lines, okay, of the right hand. Okay, we use the right hand. So these are giving the magnetic field lines. At any point, if you draw the tangent, that will give the direction of the magnetic field. Okay, the second rule, Fleming's left hand rule, which gives the direction of the force on a current carrying conductor which is placed in magnetic field. And the third one, the Fleming's right hand rule, which gives the direction of the induced current when there is a motion of the conductor in the magnetic field. Okay, then this question given on page 236, explain the different ways to induce current in a coil. This already given, these 2 activities. The first method is by moving the magnet or the coil with respect to each other, and the second is by changing the magnetic field lines around the conductor, around the coil. Okay, next topic is electric generator and domestic electrical circuits. Both the topics are deleted for this particular year. Okay, electric generator and domestic electric circuits. The next 2 topics. These are the deleted topics. Okay, only for this year due to COVID-19, these 2 topics are deleted from this chapter. So we are not going to study these 2 topics if we get time. Okay, anyhow I'll explain it. Now the last topic which is left, that is the device which we left in between is electric motor. So on the next one, we'll discuss about electric motor. Okay, and this device also you don't have to study in detail. Here some topics, what are its components, its construction, working. Okay, in brief we are going to study, and tomorrow we'll complete this chapter and we'll do the NCERT exercise questions. Okay, after that if we get time then we'll discuss these topics also. Okay, because in the competitive exams these topics are not deleted. Only for the CBSE board exam these 2 topics are deleted from this chapter. Okay, in the previous chapters also the deleted part I have already taught you, because that will come in the competitive exam. First we'll complete the last topic, electric motor, the NCERT exercise questions. Okay, then we can discuss these topics also if we get time. Okay, thank you. Keep studying and also mark your attendance. Okay, the comments are open. You can write your name, class and section so that the teachers can mark the attendance. Thank you.